Hello. How's it going, everybody? I hope you are all having a good week so far. I definitely am too. Although I am hella tired. Hey Allison, I had the day off work yesterday, and the night before I did not even sleep. I think I went to bed at 6:30 a.m. Well, went to bed, quote unquote, but I had breakfast before I did. And then I probably woke up again 3 hours later. And then because I messed up my sleep, I was in and out most of the day, and then fell back asleep at 8. Woke up at 4 a.m. this morning. Threw my whole sleeping schedule off, y'all. So my goal is to make that right tonight. Go to sleep at an okay time, before midnight. And, have a full night of sleep for tomorrow, where I will work again and then be live streaming with James Lott Jr. and Albert and Kim, and I'm pretty stoked for it. But yeah, this is more of a hangout stream. We're obviously talking about GH, but no sort of I don't know, what do you call it? I'm too tired to think of the word. I haven't stayed up all night since I was a kid. I just couldn't sleep. I don't know. It is what it is, though. But yeah, no structure. The structure was the word I was looking for, you guys. Dang. Yeah, I'm excited. I haven't been in a live stream with just more than a one-on-one situation, so yeah, it'll be my first. And I've not talked to Kim before, so it'll be cool to see all of us on the panel there. But yeah. I don't want to get into all of GH this week thus far because we're going to be doing that Sunday. So I just thought I'd kind of keep it to two things that I really enjoyed so far this week. The first, Austin said, nothing big happened today or yesterday. This is true. So the screen is off the head. That's what the rapper said. I don't know what that means. Hey, Nathan. Oh, hanging out with you guys for a little bit. But yeah, so the first thing I want to talk about was the press conference that Tracy held. That Drew and Tracy held. Listen, I knew that Tracy was not going to do what Drew said. Mainly because it was obvious that Michael and Curtis came up with some kind of game plan. Just because I'm pretty sure it was Michael who was like, did you say ketamine? So I was like, okay, they're working something out with this press conference. And, in a clever way, they got Cody to say that he left the ketamine in Tracy's car. Thus, it kind of gets rid of Tracy's claim that Drew planted it, but it also gets rid of Drew's ability to frame Tracy. And it kind of puts the sus back on him, on Drew, for doing it recreationally, which we know he didn't. And I think that that's going to backfire because Kai told Drew the truth. But yeah. It was funny. Martin fell on his face. Yeah, and he's milking it for all it's worth in the hospital now. Threw out his back or whatever. And his insurance has bounced. It's expired. Damn. The fact that you guys need that just to be seen by a doctor is crazy. I love me some Tracy. I do too. Jane Elliott's just a joy to watch, and I think that her and Cameron play well off of each other. and just all the cues. All the cues have so much good chemistry. But yeah, and I kind of wish that Michael was there. I get why he wasn't, but like, I'm curious to see how Rory, who plays Michael, would do in comical situations, because he's killing it in terms of the drama. I feel like, and I know I'm biased, I did not like Chad. However, I feel like Rory's doing a fantastic job at sort of showcasing the anger and sadness at the same time that he has for Willow. So the other thing I want to talk about is I thought that Caitlin and Rory did such a fantastic job in that showdown scene. They're both really talented actors. And yeah, I don't know. It's nice to just be able to enjoy a performance, because I think a lot of times, and I'm sure we're all guilty of it, it's hard to enjoy a scene when it involves people that you don't that you're not typically fond of, but still enjoy the performance. And it's different situations with Michael and Willow, because Michael before it was more about the actor that played him, and Willow is just what the character is doing and how stupid and dumbed down she is. Acting. Being. But, I am a fan of Caitlin, and, I'm becoming a fan of Rory, and he's doing great work. I'm loving it. It's not being a control freak, Kaiwan, when the guy that she's dating is literally, like, poisoning her kids and saying things like, oh, Michael doesn't love you anymore. That's not being a control freak. That's being a good father. That's just facts, man. Sorry to burst your bubble. But he's literally just trying to get his kids out of a shitty situation. It's, Drew's a garbage man. You think that she's smart enough to not be taking control of a emotionally abusive man? Well, that doesn't seem to be the case, though, because the man that she's currently seeing literally manipulated her into thinking that Michael didn't want to be around her or have her deal with her kids. Michael didn't manipulate her. That was Drew. I don't know if you're watching the same show, man. You gotta take off the rose-colored glasses every once in a while. Yeah, Drew was totally wrong for hurting Wiley. So my thing is, why doesn't Willow just ask Wiley? Like, why didn't she ask Wiley? I'm just, I'm laying down the facts. Kaiwan just said that Michael's manipulative, and we're watching Willow get manipulated by Drew every single day. It's like, bro, you can't be that delusional to think that he's not manipulating her. That's crazy. That's insane. That's like, dude, like, get your brain checked if you think that. That's just facts, man. Everyone but you, that from what I see, is seeing exactly what's going on. Because they're not even hiding it within the writing. We're literally seeing that Drew manipulated Michael and Willow to hate each other just so that they wouldn't share custody. Because Drew realized that if she talks things over with Michael, that'll give her more incentive to be around him more than Drew. That'll give him incentive to be, try to get her to, or make him lose incentive to take Willow away from everyone she knows and loves. Willow is brainwashed. Yeah, I'm excited to see you tomorrow, man. I was saying that you missed the first half, or not the first half of the stream, but we were talking about first thing, the stream for tomorrow. How I'm stoked to be hanging out with you and James, and I've not talked to Kim. I don't know if you have, but I'm excited to meet her too. Emotionally abusive, but no, like, Drew's also being emotionally abusive by not giving her the full story. He's like, oh, I'm sorry that Michael did this to you. Like, he's playing on her emotions because he knows that she's vulnerable to the fact that she's lost the kids. And he wants her to focus on that instead of focusing on the fact that he's the reason for it. Angel says, I told you Willow is one of those women who will turn a blind eye to their man doing something harmful to their kid. Yeah. That's the reality. The girl needs therapy, but I've been saying that since she lost her first child. The girl needs therapy and she ain't going through it. Yeah, Willow only really cares about Drew. I mean, maybe it's the residuals of being in a cult. She didn't really deal with that either. You know, like, she was smart enough to escape it eventually. But, like, the way that she ended up in there, she hasn't dealt with how to avoid that for future situations. Because I suppose with Shiloh, like, that was, like, fundamentally, it was legitimately a cult. Whereas Drew is just a man who's manipulating her for his own gain, but he's not doing that with a bunch of people. I mean, I guess you could argue that he is. I mean, he's starting to. He's got Kai being manipulated as well. But it's not like a cult, you know? He's not, like, trying to have all these followers kind of live in a house with him and all this stuff. It's more he's just trying to isolate her from everyone, same way a cult would, and just think that what everyone else is saying is wrong, and that only he knows the truth and knows what's best for everyone in the situation. I mean, there's part of that is his looks too, of course, Kaiwan. But like, it's like anyone, literally everyone else in Port Charles can see how manipulative he is, but her, including his past partners, Nina, Carly, even Sam, before she passed away, was seeing that there was something not right with Drew. So it's like, I don't know. Just doesn't know the true Drew. I mean, that's a good point. He doesn't. But I mean, he knows the stories. He knows the stories. So, I mean, Drew's just showing that the side that he wants them to see, just like he's doing with Willow. Like I said on Reddit earlier today, Willow got that hero complex from her cult days. Yeah, the savior. Yeah, that's true. The savior complex. Yeah, because, well, I mean, it's... The stuff with the cult is also a lot more complicated because, like, she was kind of born into one. And not even in Shiloh's, I don't think. I believe the backstory was Harmony, her thought-to-be mother, was kind of taking her from cult situation to cult situation, and then ended up at Dawn of Day. So, you know, it's growing up in a cult situation. So yeah, really, she got that from the misfortune of having a mother that was into cults. Yeah, it's messy. It is messy, and people can seldom see when they are in a cult. And it's like, I don't know. I've had a couple of friends that have ended up that were in like a cult-like situation, and there was just no saving them, and they had to learn the hard way on their own. And all I could do was kind of be there for them when they kind of seen it for themselves. You can only do so much to be like, yo, you need to get out of that situation. But if they don't want to hear it, they end up like Willow. Like they have to lose everything, and then I don't know, then it's like a 50-50 shot to sort of get out of that. And she was able to get out of that by basically making a run for it after she got pregnant. But now she's in this other terrible situation where she's got this, as you said, like a savior complex. She's just, I don't know, drawn to people that have saved her in some kind of way. I mean, hell, she should have just went. She should have ended up with Curtis. At least we know like the worst thing that could have happened was he just judged you for like keeping something from him. I guess actually, let's talk about one more thing. The stuff with Jordan, Portia, and Curtis and Isaiah. I don't know. I feel like it. Clearly there's still some feelings on Jordan's part. But like Portia, I think her reaction to Jordan and Curtis like hanging out was a bit much, and realistically had a lot more to do with the fact that she did something her husband didn't like, and now he's hanging around Jordan. And like the thing is, like Jordan and Curtis, they have been friends this whole time, and they've been in the same room, and they've all three of them have been in the same room. But it's just now Portia's in the situation where she's kind of on the outs with her husband because of a lie that she told. And I don't think that Jordan is subconsciously like going after Curtis. I feel like they didn't make plans to hang out at the pool. I think that they just both happened to be there. Curtis probably went on break and went for a swim, and Jordan probably just happened to be there. And that's where I think that like Portia jumping to those conclusions as fast as she did were a bit much. Although I have to say, I feel like Jordan had a lot more personality than we've seen her entire run as Jordan, the actress that plays her. They let her be a little bit like happier instead of just like monotone. And so just seeing her reminisce and laugh and chuckle with Curtis was nice. And seeing her be like, how dare you, like with Portia in terms of like throwing the drink on her. And like just like clapping back and throwing attitude. I loved seeing that side of Jordan. Like they need to be given. That's the thing. It's like I felt like since, and I feel so bad for not knowing the actress's name, but since this woman has stepped into the role of Jordan, they've given her nothing. They've given her nothing, and it's like she's capable. Use her for shit. Like use her for meaty stuff. Use her for comedy. Use her for relationships. Use her. Give her some friends so that she can like show her personality. Like, don't just have her be so straight shooter and like, I don't even know, just resigned to like being stone faced all the time. Clearly the woman can act. They just don't give her anything. It's like, it's so annoying. I feel so bad. Because even with, Brianna, who used to play Jordan before she did, and of course, oh my gosh, what's her name? I think Janelle? Forgive me. Original Jordan. We got to see, like, so many sides to them when they were playing Jordan. And, like, we've just seen next to nothing with this one. Autumn, you said, I love me some Tracy Q yesterday when Martin fell. I died laughing. Yeah, those were funny scenes. They were funny scenes. My guess is that Martin and Jordan. Sorry, we were talking about Jordan. But Martin and Tracy are probably eventually going to get together. Like, she angers him so much. And she loves that she can get under his skin. I know that she was like looking at the GIFs or GIFs of him falling flat on his face earlier. It was just so funny. But yeah, I think I just need to see personality for Jordan, and they can give her that. They got to give her that. But yeah, I don't know. There's been some entertaining scenes for sure. So I'm just kind of reading what you guys are saying, because I kind of went on a tangent there. Austin, you had said Christina wasn't in it her whole life, though. That's true. Autumn, you said, I don't want Jordan to be back with Curtis at all. Me neither. Me neither. Jordan can do better. Okay? And Curtis needs to just work shit out with his wife and stop being so, like, I don't even know. What's the word? It's not that he's controlling. Judgmental. Like, he lets his, like, stubbornness for, like, a straight line. Like, I feel like he sees things as black and white, Curtis. And he needs to learn as a human being that things are not always as black and white, particularly with this situation with Portia and Drew, because, you know, she was afraid. This is a man who is manipulating people left, right, and center. This is a man who, like, found some evidence against his wife, a move that she made to protect her child from the person that, you know, went after her for like a year. You know, supposed whatever she had, the poisonous steel stuff from her hip replacements, be damned, because, you know, she wouldn't be the first villain who used a medical condition to you know, manipulate the system and go free. We've seen it with Manny. We've seen it with Franco. And we've seen it with Heather. So, and probably more. Probably more. Those are the three that I can think of at the top of my head. And to that end, the verdict is still out on whether Heather is faking her sanity or not, because of her final scene before she left Port Charles. You know, there was some creepiness in there, but we'll see. You know, when they decide to bring her back, we'll find out. What else am I missing here? Nathan, you said, I was never into Jordan and Isaiah that much, but they've done nothing with them, including Jordan. Yeah. And Nathan said, better yet, this show has no pairings, basically, despite a couple of few with no investment. Only at Frank's hospital. That's true. Yeah, Brooklyn and Chase are like the only solid couple that we see. You know, like, yeah, there's Mac and Felicia. We never see Mac. Carly and Jack. Yeah, Carly and Jack don't count. Yeah, because it's only a matter of time before Carly finds out what Jack did to Jocelyn. I think he's gonna marry Tracy. I mean, I wonder why. Like, if that were to happen, like, why would that? Why? There'd have to be a pretty good reason for that. But I'm also like, Tracy's been manipulated into like, what, like 3 different marriages now. That sort of gameplay is getting older, getting old. I don't need to see it again. I would rather them like just hate sex. See them have hate sex. You know, the anger is just so that it explodes into, you know, a romance, and them sort of kind of trying to deal with that twisted side of them. Autumn, you said, sad part is Michael's been wanting to compromise with Willow the entire time, and Willow being the blockhead she is, thinking marrying Drew is going to get kids back, girl. Willow's headed for a pitfall. And that's the thing, like, yes, the judge was paid off to go in favor of Michael, courtesy of Sidwell, but we know because of that even marrying, which she seems to think is going to help the situation, is not going to work, because the judge was paid to make sure she didn't get the kids. So it's gonna happen again, because Sidwell's probably paying close attention, and he's gonna keep an eye out on the situation. And, you know, once he sees that they're going to have like a new hearing or whatever, he's gonna watch, and he's gonna, you know, tell that judge, who can be bought and paid for, like, how to rule. and the judge is not going to rule, or, Sidwell is not going to let the judge rule in Willow's favor. So it's not going to work. So she's going to be even more mentally distraught and even more isolated from her kids. When Michael literally is just like, I want Willow to be in my kids' lives. I would have loved to share custody. But thanks to Drew, it didn't happen. Oh, have a good night, Albert. Sorry I didn't see that earlier. See you tomorrow. Sandy said it was stupid to break up Jordan and Isaiah. Yeah, it would have been like sexy to see them like go sort of under the radar and like meet up like that. Like it was cute. And like he's got this whole ass cabin courtesy of Lucky. Like that's where they could just have their little romantic getaways. Well, to that end, Kaiwan, like, Michael would let Willow see her kids without Drew. And he has every right to keep Drew away from his kids, especially after what he did to Wiley. So, And realistically, Michael is looking out for Willow because he sees how manipulative Drew is. Like, he hates that she cheated on him with him, but because Drew is such a bad guy, and he's, the reason why she's lost so many people in her life, her friends, her family, and her kids. Like, she's like, even Michael's like, you can date literally anyone else as long as they would treat our kids right, but you got this guy who is manipulating your situation. But it's like, like, just date anyone else. Anyone else. This man is bad for you. He's deliberately isolating you from everyone just so he can have you for himself. That's a sign of an emotionally abusive psychopath. And like it's like, also I just want to say, just for the record, how annoyed I am that they've turned Drew into this as well. Because obviously he was a completely different character under Billy Miller. But he had likable qualities even when Cameron first started playing with him, and they've turned him into an absolute monster. Like, he's brutal. He's an abusive pig. First of all, sleeping with, mother and daughter, and just like pretending that it was this beautiful love story. Like, dude, you bumped her mom after she asked you to manipulate her daughter into letting her back into her life just so you could see a politician. That's an effed up individual. Why is he an effed up individual? All of a sudden, I need context. What, like, originally under the year that we had like 3 different writers, it seemed like they were going to give a physical, mental reason as to why Drew has suddenly changed. Maybe he took one too many fists to the head when he got beat up in prison, but something was in the works there, and it's just like it's just been let go. It's just been let go. So it's like, it's crazy. No, everybody else didn't throw out Willow. They all tried to tell her. That he's manipulating her. And she won't hear it. So like I said, in those situations, like, there's only so much you can do. And so they were like, like, okay, well, fine. You're going to have to learn the hard way. Good luck. Like, that's the reality of it. Like, as friends of whoever is dealing with this kind of situation, there is only so much you can do. And you can try everything in your power to get your friend away from this abusive pig or abusive situation, whether it's a cult, a bad man, all these other things. And you can only do so much, but at some point you have to kind of let go and just be like, you know what? I'm sorry that you're in the situation. When you finally get out of it, come and find me. Because everything I'm saying is falling on deaf ears. You can't just like keep, like onto. While it's important to try to look up for your friends as much as you can, you have to also put your mental health at first too, because you can't be help to anyone if you're just constantly in the stress of having to deal with your friend being blind to an abusive situation. It's like, it's stressful. It's stressful. If you are watching your friend go down this bad path and you have tried everything in your power to get away from them and nothing is working, nothing at all. And at this point, it's like through all the valid reasons that all these friends have warned Willow about, it's like you have to like make a choice. It's like I either continue to try and knowing that it won't change a thing, or you let it go and let them learn the lesson for themselves. It's like, it's I mean, it would be a different situation if it was like physical abuse, like like if you see that, like that's when you have to do things like keep track of when you've seen a bruise on them, when you've seen them be hospitalized, when you've heard a fight, anything like that. And then, document that shit, and then maybe bring that to the police. Or when your friend does come to you needing help, then you've got this sort of documentation of it. And my hope is that someone somewhere gets in with Drew and just sort of makes him think that, he's on his side and whatever, and then just records the man when he gets a little bit too cocky and admits something. Like, part of me feels like perhaps Martin could potentially be that person down the line. Not necessarily right now, but down the line. If anybody. Maybe even Kai. But like, right now, there's just no one that trusts Drew except for Martin and Kai. And like, I think that even Rick probably doesn't trust Drew either, even though he was his lawyer, because he saw what Drew did, and he saw that it cost Willow her kids, and he felt terrible that that was the outcome. Angel said even with physical abuse, that gets draining as well. And no, it does get draining. Of course it does. But at the very least, I think in terms of like, if you've done everything in your power, the documentation is the most important part of that. If they still choose to be with him despite all that, I would say, yeah, take yourself out of that situation, but keep the documentation, because eventually it's going to come to head. It's just like, yeah, again, you gotta put your mental health first too. Like, show that you're heartbroken. Like, I hate seeing you so blind to this, or like so, far gone in the situation. All I can do is hope for the best for you, and when you are ready to come to me, we'll be there. And I think, realistically, if Willow finally sees the kind of guy that Drew is, I think that she will, I think that her friends and family will take her in, without a doubt. Because I think, Nina right now, she might be in with Willow, but it's only a matter of time before Willow gets angry at her too. I feel like Ava was probably on to something, whereas if Nina finally admits the truth, Willow is not going to believe her. And she's going to be like, you're just like the rest of them, and isolate herself from that. But I think that if Willow finds out the truth, and sees the kind of man that Drew is, I think that not Michael, not Sasha, not Carly, not Sunny, not Jason, not any friend of hers, not any friend of hers that has kind of cut ties with her would even think for a second to not take her in after that. They would all have compassion for her, and like they know that Willow's in for a fall. They all know it, and they know that she's in for a crash and burn. And it's like, you know, I'll be there for you, but you don't want to think that we're trying to look out for you here. So, good luck. I'll be here when it goes to shit. Like, I think that that's all their attitudes. I don't think that Michael will ever get back together with Willow. Hey, Aaron. Yeah, kind of. Sorry. We're almost wrapped up here. But yeah, I think that Willow, you know, her friends are going to be there for her once the shit hits the fan. It feels like it's already been hit. But like, I don't know. I think it's either going to take her hearing a recording of Drew, you know, telling the truth about the relationship between Nina. And, you know, to be fair, I'm surprised that Nina hasn't recorded anything that he said to her. Because how many times have they been alone where he's admitted to everything? Record! Nina! Record! Record a conversation once. It's all good. You can always rewind the stream and it'll be available on the YouTube page as well. But yeah, like, just someone needs to record him. Or the best thing that I could see is if she gets an opportunity to talk to Wiley and just ask him what he overheard. Ask him, are you lying to me? Are you telling me the truth? Do you swear? Like, who else was there? Did anyone else hear the conversation? Then he can say, yes, you know, Uncle Sonny's brother Rick. Like, you know, and then she can ask Rick. Like, that's the kind of shit that needs to happen. Because I think that Rick would probably tell her the truth. Because, you know, he was only Drew's lawyer for that particular time frame. Now he's, you know, Martin's back. Rick is no longer his lawyer. He doesn't really have, I guess, attorney-client privileges. But it's, you know, it kind of happened not under his watch. Like, you know, I think Rick will feel guilt, though, because he feels partially responsible for Willow losing. We'll see. Nina asking Carly to help again after bashing Carly with a candle was wild. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, like, I'm not surprised Carly was like, no, you've had enough time. Like, because Carly's right. Like, at this point, you know, you've had your chances several times over, and nothing has worked. Nothing is getting through to her. So, Willow's, you're going to have to find some other way. Carly's done. Angel says, Nina is a dingbat. She'd rather be a best friend to Willow than a mother. A true mother would take the risk of their child being mad at them for a while. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah. Nina needs to learn what it means to be a mom. Point blank period, y'all. Alright, but on that note, I'm going to end the stream here. Thank you so much for hanging out. We'll get into the rest of GH on Sunday, but keep in mind, tomorrow at 8 p.m. Mountain Time, I'll be on James Lott Jr.'s channel with James Lott Jr. and Albert and Kim Ponto. So it's going to be a fun one. Stay tuned for that. I will see y'all tomorrow on that channel. And if you liked this channel and this live stream, give it a big old thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to. I'd really appreciate it. And I will catch you guys tomorrow. Good night. Mwah.